Hi, my name is Francesca. I'm a two-year senior. I'm from Western Jersey, and I gave my chapel talk back in November. I took my first breath in this world on a dirt floor in Retalulu, Guatemala. My birth mother was an illiterate 17-year-old who never had the chance to finish an elementary education. I was adopted at 5 months of age by my at-the-time single mother and brought to the United States. There was never a moment where I discovered I was adopted, not like in the movies. It just was a simple truth, just like I've always known the color of my own hair. When I was younger, I never felt ashamed of being adopted. In fact, I embraced it. I liked that it made me different. But as I got older, that changed. Growing up, people would occasionally make comments about how I looked different. I vividly remember around age 4, a kid unapologetically, as children do at that age, asked me if I was Chinese because my dark almond eyes were like his friends, who also happened to be Chinese. It was one of those stop dead in your track moments that catches you completely off guard, rendering you speechless and unsure of how to respond, even at the tender age of 4 years old. After that moment, I started becoming quite conscious of my almond-shaped eyes. Around age 6, when I went to summer camp, a girl bluntly asked me why my skin was darker than the other kids. While it was the first of many times this would happen when I was younger, I began to question if there was something wrong with the way that my skin looked. For the most part, I pushed these types of comments to the back of my mind, as I knew that all people looked different, and the way I looked reflected the people that I descended from. As I got older, the comments became bolder. When I was in 8th grade, a woman who had recently moved into the neighborhood came back to give a plate she had borrowed. I began to space out, as the most she allowed me to say was hello, as she spoke nonstop, explaining to me as to why she didn't return the plate sooner. My daydream was cut abruptly short when she proceeded to say to me in a very concerned tone, "Oh, I'm sorry, do you speak English?" It was these types of situations and experiences where I suddenly became quite conscious of how I might be viewed in the world. As a result, I started to sometimes feel secretly ashamed of who I was. During my sophomore and first junior year, that very shame would grow into something completely different. During my sophomore and first junior year, I attended an all-girls school. The school itself was a rigorous pressure cooker aimed at sending its girls to the top colleges in the country. Anything less than a profile aimed for an Ivy was very obviously looked down on. I struggled at first to keep up with the competitive atmosphere. I'd often go to the teachers for extra help, but many would dismiss my struggles as a lack of trying on my part or some sort of deficiency. The students provided no comfort either. Anytime I spoke, I was met with a cold disinterest or an artificial facade. Through my time and various experiences at that school, it was drilled into my mind that I was not good enough. Maybe I slowly began to question and doubt every part of myself. These certain types of comments consumed my daily life, and I genuinely started to believe that I wasn't good enough. I felt completely lost. Halfway through my junior year, I saw a documentary in class that completely changed my self-perception. That documentary was called Living on $1 a Day, featuring 4 American college boys going to Guatemala, the place of my birth. With a budget limited to $1 a day, they simulated the poverty experienced by the people of the area to try to better understand the financial struggles faced by those living in impoverished third world countries. During their time, the 4 young men connected with the locals of the village they stayed in, heard their stories, and immersed themselves in their lives. I watched the movie intently, hanging on every word said. It was the first time in my 2 years at that high school where I truly felt connected to something. During the documentary, there was an interview with a young Guatemalan girl named Rosa, who dreamt of becoming a nurse. Trapped in poverty, Rosa's family was unable to pay for her to complete her elementary education. Yet Rosa still held on to that dream, despite the unlikelihood of achieving it. It was then, looking at that young girl in her indigenous Guatemalan garb, I was reminded that I could have been that girl. Only a decision that I had no control over truly separated us. I left the classroom with a new clarity and appreciation for myself, my background, my life, and what I had been given. I had not acknowledged it in a while. I was caught up in the trivial. I dwelled on what I lacked internally, externally, and the challenges of the environment I was in, a very childish perspective looking back. I realized that despite what people's simplistic perceptions of who I am or where I come from, they don't define me. I am not just that. I am not defined by who my parents are, where I was born, my skin color, my grades, where I have or will go to school, or any singular moment in my life. No one is. Everyone's life is a beautiful, complex gift, mixed with highlights, low points, and various moments in between. Every now and then I catch myself thinking about what amazing life I've been given, that I, a baby who 19 years ago was born 3,348 miles away, is here in front of you all, alive and well. But the growth within myself that I mentioned earlier wouldn't have blossomed fully without everything that I've also come to find at Pomfret. The friendships I have made here have been filled with laughter, joy, and create a truly unforgettable time that I will cherish forever. I found support being away from home through people like my advisor, who has rooted for me every step of the way, but has also been like a mom away from home, even with the occasional tough love. Here, I have been encouraged to embrace myself and push myself in a way to foster healthy growth. So I say to each one of you prospective students, your journey starts here. I encourage you, each and every one of you, to choose somewhere that will allow for you to grow into your best selves. I guarantee that Pomfret, should you choose, will inevitably become your second home as it has become mine. And while my time here is unfortunately coming to an end, 52 days to be exact, the journey of my own life isn't close to over. Regardless of the new obstacles and struggles that lie ahead, I now look forward to the future. I've accepted myself fully. This is my testament to that. I can now stand here dressed in the traditional wear of my people, full of pride and confidence, and say that I am finally proud of who I am. My name is Francesca Maria Magdalena Salerno, and I am a 2-year senior here at the Hilltop. Thank you.